Hi, my name is Bill Miller, and I'm a Native American musician. I guess I'm the one, I'm going to categorize myself, so I don't let you do it before me. But I grew up on an Indian reservation in northern Wisconsin. My music is strongly influenced by Native America, but I'm influenced by blues. I live not far from Chicago. I went to Maxwell Street, which is historic in the change of blues becoming electric. The first trip to Maxwell Street was in the 60s, then in the 70s, and I just went down there and studied some incredible blues players. So I'm into blues, I'm into folk music, I'm into rock and roll. Lately I've been into listening to classical music, but all music is of the Creator, and I just love great music in general, and it's given me a platform to speak my heart and my mind and my faith through instruments, guitars, native flutes, percussion, and my voice. And it's been an awesome journey through life being a musician. Well, the first time I thought that music would be an essential portion of my life was, I think I was about 23 or 24 years old. I'd already been married for a few years and we had our first child. I started playing music when I was 9, but then it was when it first came to me, it was just, it was a lot of fun. It was a good hobby, like some kids collect arrowheads or quarters or whatever they do. I wanted to play music. I played guitar and played trumpet, actually. But by the time I reached the age of 23, 24, I started realizing, because I couldn't get away from music. I was going to art school at the same time, trying to get a degree, thinking that I should follow the formula as everyone else did. Just get my degree, just be a teacher, just get a house, white picket fence, whatever. But no, I felt a calling. That's the way it was like, you're called to do this. You're not a mechanic. You're not a good mechanic. I'm still not. You're not a good mathematician. You're bad with money, but you are good with a guitar. You can write a song. And so I felt a calling at that time. That's when I started to realize that all the years that I've been listening to music on an AM radio from an Indian reservation. At that time, when I was a kid, they used to play Perry Como, Frank Sinatra, Barbra Streisand, the Staple Singers, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and again back and forth, Petula Clark and George Jones and Johnny Cash and Lynn Anderson, and I was listening to it all. It was like listening to unformatted radio at the time. It was previous to FM radio, so I took all it in, and I think inside of my soul I carried that with me like a little precious bag of songs. And by the time I hit 22, 23, I realized, wait a minute, I need to start interpreting what I lived. I observed my life for this long. Now it's time to interpret what I've observed and time to apply that. And that's when it changed for me. I started playing the cedar flute in 1976. And this was interesting. A man named Lewis Webster, who's a great flute player from Wisconsin, was at a bluegrass festival that I was at with John Hartford. And I remember getting off the stage. It was in northern Wisconsin at a place called Mole Lake. My friend was a little bit intoxicated. He's a few years older than me, and he was carrying a couple of flutes with him, and he was trying to sell them to these bands for pretty cheap just to get money to get home. And I said, Louis, what do you need? He goes, I need to sell these flutes, man. I go, for what reason? I said, those are beautiful handmade flutes. One had a loon's head on and a duck's head hand carved, and he's a master flute maker. I said, well, how much do you want for it? He goes, I'm trying to get like $40 or something. I go, well, I got 60, and I said, I'll give you a ride home. So anyways, I gave him $60. Now the flute now would probably go for $1,000. It was super hand carved with a loon on it. I still have it. And then as I took him home, he explained to me, he sobered up, explained to me why he makes the flutes, why the wood is this way, why he does this, and gave me a lesson that evening on playing the flute. Not for the commercial world. This was pretty awesome. He showed me why there is wind in our sails, basically, why there's wind coming from here. That's the breath of the Creator. That this is how you fluctuate between the notes. This is what a bird sounds like. This is the way Indian people should be playing his flutes. I got a lesson from my master for $60. I took that flute and I put it above my guitars, and I didn't play it for a year. I was so afraid of it. But then when I started playing it, it was like a mystical instrument that just took its own life. So I have a lot of respect for that instrument. I started playing it, like I said, probably seriously in 1977, and have been playing it since. I was in a hotel watching Discovery Network, and they had a special on genetics. These scientists have found that there's a gene in our body that when you reach a certain age, I don't think it's 87 or 88 or 89, basically your body stops deteriorating, it lengthens you for a few more years, and you start healing, you start going through a positive. It extends your life, it doesn't de-age, it doesn't go down. There's something there that the body does. It's really strange. They found it with older people that, wait a minute, the cells aren't dying. And he was saying that as soon as you leave the womb, basically, you're dying. And he says, what if you were to walk out in the streets and tell all these people in New York City, hey, excuse me, yes, you're dying. And I use it as a first line from the song, you know, walk out into the streets, tell everyone you meet they're dying, sell everything you own, then walk out on your own. I'm speeding it up. You're dying, dying. It's like Beatles-ish, it's sort of acoustic, but it's all about facing death in another way. So I didn't know how people would take it. I just played it at a couple of universities with these hip kids, and I thought, well, I'm going to give this a shot. And to some people my age, it might be depressing to hear, but I'm actually talking about life. But it's amazing, people my age, how uptight they are about everything. But here's these 21-year-old kids flipping out, going, what? You know, they got the message immediately. But that's where I'm at. And some of these songs are really, for me, cutting to the point, because I just turned 50. I just won my first Grammy, and what is this? You know, that's where I'm at now. I've been on the road 28 years. I've made 16 records. I've toured with everybody imaginable, but what does it mean? Am I just piling this? That's what I want to cover too. Am I just piling stuff for accolades? Do I need that? No, I don't. Do I need, I literally went through life with a bunch of labels though, and it's taken me to this year, Jim, to get the labels all off me. You're an alcoholic, son. You're a dumbass Indian kid from a reservation. You'll never be anybody. Boom. You know, carried that around with me for like years until I go, wait, I don't need this crap. Boom. I'm not that alcoholic son. You know, you're a suicide kid, attempted suicide. You're screwed up. You know, boom. You need Paxil. You know, boom. You need this. You need this. You're financially off. You're never gonna, whatever. All these things that are going on, and I saw how damaging they were to me to just hold me back. And the same note I can say for accolades, because they can put you in a false sense of security. You need to live in the now. I'm living in the now as we speak. I just had a college interview, me, paper said, so what are your plans for the future now that you got the Grammy? I go, my plans for the future are to get some sleep tonight and see a new morning. I don't plan too far ahead anymore. I used to do that. I don't. I'm just gonna make music tonight. It's shorter. It's much more intense this way. And when I write that way, the songs come out that way. And that's what happened on this record. It's like, I didn't put a time frame on it. I didn't put a budget on it. And of course, that's when it happens. It's the same way when I met my wife. I had blind dates set up for me by friends. Oh, you'll love this person. Go out to dinner with her. She's your perfect wife. You know, she was another guitar player. It sucked. We both argued. You know, we didn't get along. She's a great looking chick. And I'm thinking, oh, cool, man, this will work. Not. You know, she had long dark hair. I had long dark hair. We're like both playing Martins, and we both dated for a couple of weeks, and I hated her. She hated me because she wanted me to play background to her. I said, screw you, you know, and it didn't work. But then when I met my wife, it was done out of total friendship, total not committal things, but yet when you don't commit, and I am a committed person to issues or things, that once we met, the sparks flew, you know, so that's where it's at. I know that now. It's why did it take me this long to know it? I don't know, but that's where the sparks are. It's in that moment. It's as a filmmaker, as anything else. If you can't capture that, your film's dead. It's just nothing but a bullshit documentary or something just really bland. It's when you're catching sparks that people are going to care, and it has a life. I recently been listening to Nick Drake, who I got his first album in 1975. He had died just a few years before that. Nick Drake, I've been listening to Philip Glass. I used one of Philip Glass's pieces called Koyaanisqatsi. I actually used it to influence me on an instrumental piece. What I did was I listened to his music first for hours. Then I took the film and I set it up in the studio, and I shut Philip down, and I just used his imagery because I like playing the imagery. But I really love Philip Glass. I listened to him. I listened to a lot of jazz. I listened to recently to the new Stones CD, which is excellent. I listened to the Beatles continuously, different things. I loved Anthology because it gave me an insight into their heart and where they built their songs. Sometimes I don't listen to anything in the car. I'm in a lot of rental cars, and people just ask me that, what do you listen to? Well, the only thing I listen to is silence sometimes, because I like driving for 3 hours to Boston, because sometimes people don't know how to be still and listen to the wind or traffic. My head's going in its zone. But what I listen to is tribal music. I listen to the chants and the drum, and it just gets me in a mode, man, because there's a certain hypnotic beat and a trance beat to Native music that I relate to. I grew up with it. So I listen to that. I don't listen to the radio. Well, I listen to Radiohead. I love Radiohead. But other than that, I'm really trying to forcefully limit myself on listening, because I don't want too many influences. You know, I don't want to, because I'm so into everything that sometimes I need to corral myself and say, hey, what are you about, Bill? So then when I finally go in the studio, I'm not coming off as a copycat pop machine or trying to see what Sting's doing next or whatever. Who's the hot actor, whatever. I don't want to copy them. I want to identify with them. I want to observe what they're doing, because there are masters that I could go through, but these masters that I've listened to are, like I said, older music. I'm not really influenced by today's music as much. The only ones I can say, like I said, if the farthest one ahead, I guess, is Radiohead. That otherwise I stopped there, and they were so heavy duty for me that like, whoa, there's nobody in the world like Radiohead. You know, I love U2 and everything, but when I heard Radiohead, I just wigged me out, because it's like, man, this is like U2 on peyote or something. This is awesome. This is unbelievable. I like the fearlessness in a band like that. I like the high falsetto. I like the melodic changes. I like the subject matter. I like, that's me. If I were to, you know, and what's funny is I don't sound at all like Radiohead, but I identify with that. You know what I mean? I identify with that. It's almost to me like impressionist music, because those are my favorite visual artists. I'm a visual artist, where Degas, Manet, Monet, and these people doing stuff. And I remember reading about them in art school. They used brushes 15 to 20 feet long. People don't know, doing canvases from a distance to paint, so you're away and the picture comes together from a distance, but close up you're going, what is this stuff? It was their way of impression, you know, and some of them would take their glasses off and see things to paint, it would be blurred. I think I learned a lot. I think I got bruised at first, because I was intimidated by the marketing of an artist. I didn't realize it takes a lot of work and a lot of money to market something in the right. And then again, you can put a lot of money into an artist and it doesn't work. It's a mystical element, I think, that I've gotten in touch with lately. So at first I disagreed with marketing strategies, and before I knew it, Tori Amos was calling me. She called me back in I think it was 1994. I got a call out of the blue. And I didn't know Tori from Adam, but I knew she was famous. And right then the marketing guys backed off and said, Tori wants you to do a 6-month tour with her. I thought, excellent, this works. Nothing to do with the record company, nothing to do with some A&R guy. It was an artist to artist. And ever since Tori and Pearl Jam and these people that have gotten in my life, it was artist to artist. It was never an A&R guy setting this up, even though they may think they'd like to, but they didn't do it. In my life, it's been that way. But as far as marketing, I hope that record companies and students like yours who are watching this now, if they go into the industry, that they go into it with a heart for the musician, because the more people with a heart for the musician, the more we're going to work together, because it's like our schools, if they would just see in our public schools or anywhere that, oh, these 6 kids are visual artists, so this girl is going to be a dancer, and let's lean to that. Let's teach her this. Let's lean that. Oh, this man is a Native American. He has this, instead of trying to push me into a niche where I don't fit, or thinking stereotypically, well, you know, dude, you need to do this. You need to listen to the artists, really listen to them, because especially those that are more mature and know where they're going. At the time when I got stuck into the labels, it didn't happen. I was basically putting my hands up, I don't know where to go. And I praise God that Tori Amos called me, and it really changed a lot for me, because I can say she did a lot for me in the early part of my career in the 90s. But marketing, I don't know anything about that. I really don't. I couldn't tell you, because I've never been that successful. I remember one meeting in particular about a song that I was going to put on my record called Reservation Road, and one of the men in the company stressed that he felt that, and he didn't even listen to the lyrics, that it might bring about some guilt amongst the non-Indian people, or that Reservation Road was a negative title, or whatever it was. And I said, wait a minute, dude. First of all, I said, did you read the lyrics? Well, I said, recite the lyrics back to me. Show me one negative lyric in that song. He goes, well, no, I didn't read the lyrics. I said, then shut up. Be still. And he did. He goes, okay, here, I gave him a copy of the lyrics. And I said, let me sing it to you. And I remember in that meeting, it was here in Nashville. I pulled out my acoustic guitar, and I sang Reservation Road, and he fell in love with the song. You know, I had to show him where it was at. I think a lot of these guys go into meetings prepared sort of in a mechanical way and try to think they're going to etch out, rather than, again, I'm a person very layered. My music I see in my life is like a tree. And each layer, if you were to look at my tree, it would be 50 rings there, 50 years. Well, in that 50 years, more than half of it has been doing music on the road. And so each one of those years, I want people to understand where I'm at on that tree. If they don't, if they're going to try to make me younger than I am or take me out of the thing, I can't deal with it. I just want some respect. I don't want to control everything. But it took some time. Yeah, people didn't misunderstood me. People wanted to put me into place. One guy wanted me to cut my hair. Another guy wanted me to dress differently and not wear this and that. I can't be anything but myself. And I've stuck to that for all these years. I've really not changed a heck of a lot. A Grammy is a type of award that I've talked to other Grammy winners. That's a type of award that would last a lifetime. And I'm very honored to be in the midst of all these artists who have won Grammys. To me, and for my people, for Indian people, I went back to my reservation. About a month after that, they had a celebration and a special dance, a special dinner, and a special award ceremony where I received an Indian Grammy, which is an eagle feather. And they presented this feather to me, and you just don't get eagle feathers out of the blue, same with Grammys. And so they presented and said a prayer over me. To me, it's been internal changes. It really helped, if you can believe this, hopefully your listeners will, but I've all my life, a lot of musicians have self-esteem issues. A lot of people that are out in front of people, they don't realize how shy they really are, or how broken their homes were, or even have issues, trauma issues they've faced all their lives, but they came out, music saved their lives. I'm one of those people. And it really brought my self-esteem up to a point, oh, it's okay, Bill, you can accept this. For years I couldn't accept a lot of things, thinking I'm only this high because of my abusive background. I'm only this high. Well, I'm done with that now. No, the Grammys made me realize in that room with all those people that night, wait, I'm in a big family of musicians. What an awesome family this is. I'm not in the alcoholic home. My dad's dead now. I'm not on the reservation. I don't have a fence to cross anything. This music has crossed all fences, all boundaries, all tragedies, all trauma. This music has brought life not only to me but to others, and that's the point. And so it's been so healing to me, the Grammy. It's almost, that's been a bigger thing to me than anything career-wise. I think that I've yet to see what the Grammy is going to do for me. It's still happening, you know. Career-wise, XM Radio called and through my management they arranged to do an hour special on me, which will be aired on their program for Native American Month. I think that was because of the Grammys. But other things, I don't know. I mean, I've been singing for the people, I think, for years and years, but only from this level right here. And it's amazing how long we as human beings can go be dysfunctional and function for so many years and not know it. Like we can drive a car with one headlight and 3 wheels and think it's normal, and all of a sudden one day it breaks down on Highway 40. You go, whoa, why did I not fix this before? I withheld a lot of emotional stuff that I was dealing with throughout my life. And you know what, music is, if you're a true artist, your music, it seeps over like a flood into your marriage. It seeps over like a flood into your children. It seeps over like a flood into the reservation. It should go, and everybody's affected by it. So a lot of people were carried through me, but they didn't know that I was hiding a lot of pain. The Grammys broke down the dams and the levees holding back. For me to see this whole hurricane thing was a lot like my life. It was stuff that I've withheld and been able to push back. My suicide attempts, my alcoholism, my own hatred towards my own father, my bitterness towards people who were racist towards Indians. All this stuff was there. People had no idea. I'm carrying it on stage, and some nights I'd play so hard and I'd go, oh, I made it, it's okay, you know. And I made it. But then when the Grammys came, it was like, boom, it just opened up. And if anybody would have been there, would have told you, I forgot to thank my manager, I forgot to thank my wife, I forgot to thank certain people who are very important and dear to me, only because it overwhelmed me like a flood. Tears rolling down my face. I didn't know what to do. I really didn't know. You know what I did? I walked off the wrong side of the stage. I was supposed to go in and get interviewed. I walked out in the hallway and I wept for 20 minutes. I wept. I didn't know how to accept this great award. I got on the phone and I called my mother on the reservation, and I told her. And when I was in the hall, several musicians had followed me out from the crowd, and they were holding me. That's what my life's been like. But I can say that it was a moment just recently on stage that I realized that I finally broke through this shell and I got inside. And when I broke the inner part of me, it's good to be broken. And I've been broken because of this being lifted. And I don't believe you can go through life and be a light unto the world or help your fellow man through any art unless you're truly broken. All these things are relating now to my music. It's almost overwhelming to me in the other sense. It's like, who can I thank? You know, I'm at that stage right now. Wow, if I were to thank everybody that I should thank, it might take the rest of my life. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start now to thank people, because that's what the tables have turned now. I don't need to go showcase for a record deal anymore. I don't need to prove that I've written 1,000 songs to anybody. I don't need to prove myself. It's in the day that I need to be who I can for my children and for the rest of the world as a gifted musician. That's all it is. Music is one of the strongest healers in the world to help us through the times. A 2-minute, 50-second song can make somebody fall in love at dinner and say, I want to marry you. A 2-minute and 50-second song can bring our warriors home from battle. A 2-minute, 50-second song can make a politician change his mind or bring, don't stop thinking about tomorrow, whatever. They use it as a campaign thing or whatever. A song can change lives. A song can. You know, I'm not out to change so much history of mankind. I'm out to touch the heart. That's where we're going to get through our welfare problems. That's where we're going to get through abortion issues. That's where we're going to cover things that are always stopping us up politically. You know where it has to be the heart to make the decision. It's not some politician or some legal law that's going to force you into this corner. If you can change the heart so we can think, this is wrong. This is morally wrong for me to do this. This is wrong for me to just impregnate you and leave this young girl with the toughest decision in her life. What am I going to do? That's wrong. So I want to speak out to men too. It's like, enough pressure on the women, enough pressure on the children, enough pressure on the poor, enough pressure with that. We need help. And it's always music. I can get out with that. So I consider myself now part of the healing process. I'm just a healer as well as a musician. Well, I would encourage those, and now this is going on, a lot of independent filmmakers, independent record companies, and because of the internet, because of computer tools like Pro Tools and stuff like that, it makes it a lot more open for bands to do their own thing now. And what happened was, before I was on a major label, I already put out about 3 separate recordings that were independent label. So I was already established on the road. I had a little fan base, you know, whatever. And I was already into touring. So I already had a lot to back me up. And I would encourage artists as they grow to get, before you go, it's like anything, before you jump in and say, I want to marry you, you need to work some issues out. It's a big commitment. Same with a record deal. It's a major commitment. It's like signing a major bank loan. You're going to be stuck for a while. So I would encourage them to do things independently. I think that's what made me a stronger artist when I finally got signed to a major label. I knew the business a bit. I went independent for a while, so I knew how to make a recording. I could answer questions a little easier. I was a veteran already by the time I made it on the major labels. You have to surround yourself. I'm not a good businessman, so if I was, I would be doing more for myself, but I recognized right away my strengths and my weaknesses, and that's a weakness for me, finances. So you surround yourself with great business managers, and eventually you can find those at certain levels. Now, if you're at a beginning level and nobody's really believing you or seeing you for what you are, then you need to have your wife or your brother or somebody help you along the way, which is fine. But when you get up to a major label, then yeah, I had guys trying to be my agent, my manager and stuff, and you have to pick right people for that. So they're the ones now that are doing that for me. They're counsel, they're strong counsel. They're like, to me, I relate to that as a tribal person. In our tradition, in our tribe, pretty much the Mohicans were matriarchal, and the women made the final decisions. Their decision was very important. They would go to the women in charge at the end of it, but they would have every tribal member agreeing before they would step into war against another nation. Every tribal member, as far as on the council goes, that were voting members had to vote on it. If one was off, they'd wait a week or so and go into it again. And if it seemed like they didn't want to go, then wouldn't go. So that's the way I work things. I work with my my people, so to speak, now, I'm not an independent artist. I am somewhat, but I'm interdependent. That word works in this business. The way you're going to make it in this business, I realize, is interdependence. First of all, I want to tell the students, this is for the ones advanced and the ones still thinking about it yet, to really search their heart and try to find what's your priority. If it's about money or about fame, those should be flags, first of all. What you're going to have to deal with is music. In my world, as a touring musician, involves the road, it involves a lot of sacrifice, a lot of practice, a lot of time, a lot of risk. There's no guarantee of anything in any aspect of the music business, so to speak. So find your calling. If it is music, if it's music therapy, if it's being a road musician, if it's being an A&R man or running a record label or making music videos, great. Just go through things and be honest with yourself to find what your calling is. You may find out that it isn't music. You know, me as a musician, as dedicating my whole life, I want more people out there who are the real thing. I don't want the wannabes. There's a lot of people wishing they were in the business and halfway there. You don't need to do that. But I encourage you to find your calling, wherever that may be. And you may find out that it isn't in the music business. It may be something else, but related to music. So I just do an inventory. And I think if you're honest, you can find out. And then get ready to experience. I would say move to a music center, whether that be Nashville, New York City, or LA. I would say move in and take your time. I found mentors in John Hartford, John Prine, Arlo Guthrie, Michael Murphy, and then eventually moved up to Pearl Jam and Tori Amos, hung out with these people, not just from a distance, was with them, was speaking to them, questioning them. These people all have helped me. They didn't stop me from advancing in my career. They just helped me along the way. That's who you need to speak to. You don't need to go to Ramada Inns and find the Ramada Inn band and hang out, get drunk and listen to them do cover songs for 6 hours. You need to go into the real zone, the war zone. You need to talk to the real thing. So don't accept counterfeits. Take the real thing.